Bonjour, everybody. I'm Joshua Orro, the Mustang Prince, and welcome to Mustang Prince Oral Reports. Now, I was originally going to blog this movie during November of this year, but because today's subject is one of two that are mentioned in Musical Theater Village's current production of Drowsy Chaperone, and it was told to the Lost Boys by Wendy during their production of Peter Pan a while back, I just had to make an exception. Anyway, if you remember, way back in February 2017, I looked at Disney's two animated versions of Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre. And I understand that mostly everyone loves the original 1996 film better than its sequel, and I can sort of see where they're coming from, even though I like them both for my own personal reasons. But anyway, today, we're going to talk about another Victor Hugo story, Les Miserables. Written in 1862, this story is considered as one of the greatest novels of the 19th century. It follows the lives and interactions of several characters, particularly the struggles of ex-convict Jean Valjean and his experience of redemption. Now, I never really read the book yet, but I have seen the 1980 stage musical several times. Though I mostly remember seeing the show at many different school theaters like Mission Viejo High School and OSHA. And, in my honest opinion, the show is really emotional, heartbreaking, but also outstanding. Sadly, like some stage musicals that I mentioned on my show, Les Mis is one of several that my friends at Musical Theater Village can never perform, due to the cast being so huge for a community theater. Plus, I've heard that there have been several adaptations of Les Mis, from a couple of TV miniseries, an anime by Studio Nippon, a Japanese manga, and many film adaptations. However, today, I'm going to look at the most famous Academy Award version from 2012 and see how it holds up today. Released on December 25th, Christmas Day 2012, the movie is Les Miserables. So, on for the plot of the movie. After 19 years as a prisoner, Jean Valjean is freed by Inspector Javert, the officer in charge of the prison workforce. Valjean promptly breaks parole, but later uses money from stolen silverware to reinvest himself as a mayor and factory owner. Javert vows to bring Valjean back to prison. 8 years later, Valjean becomes the guardian of a child named Cosette after her mother Fantine's death. But Javert's relentless pursuit means that peace will be a long time coming. So, what do I think of this movie? Well, this movie truly is a cinematic musical masterpiece, and it deserves a standing ovation. Yes, I love this film. And to further explain why, let's move on to Mustang notes. The film was directed by Tom Hooper, who, after this movie, directed the recent film adaptation of Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. And bash me if you want, but I plan on blogging this as soon as I get it on home media this April. Anyway, following the release of the 1980 musical, a film adaptation was mirrored in development hell for over 10 years, as the rights were passed on to several major studios and various directors and actors were considered. In 2011, Producer Cameron McIntosh sold the film rights to Eric Fellner, who financed the film through his working title films. In June 2011, the production of the film officially began, with Tom Hooper and McIntosh serving as director and producer, and the main characters were cast later that year. Principal photography commenced in March 2012 with a budget of $61 million. Filming took place on locations in Greenwich, London, Chatham, Winchester, Bath and Portsmouth, England, along with Gordon, France, and on sound stages in Pinewood Studios. Also to note, the film won 3 Golden Globe Awards: Best Motion Picture for Musical or Comedy, Best Actor, Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy for Hugh Jackman, and Best Supporting Actress for Anne Hathaway. It also won 4 British Academy Award films, including for Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Anne Hathaway, and it received 3 Academy Awards for Best Sound Mixing, Best Makeup and Hairstyling, and Best Supporting Actress for Anne Hathaway. Now, what I like about this movie is that it takes place from 1815 to 1832. Plus, the movie gives us captions that tell us about the 3 time periods of the story and a little bit of information about them. Also, to me, the opening prologue, where Jean Valjean is released from Toulon and is about to start a new life after being sheltered by a kind bishop, goes from gloomy to rough to tear-jerking. And it gives good foreshadowing on what's to come for the rest of the story. There are also other places, like the factory in Montreal and the Thénardier's Inn in Montfermeil. Sorry, my French sucks, I know. But the one city in the movie that sticks out to me the most is Paris, where the Friends of the ABC, or ABC, revolutionized a fight against the monarchy to free folks from slavery. To me, the revolution plot and the battle sequences are really serious, political, and intense, especially since one of the people who get killed is a little street boy named Gavroche. Also, I can't believe how many disasters that Paris has been through over the years, like the 1910 flooding, a metro fire in 1903, a bombing in November 2015, and Notre Dame's fire from last year. Anyway, back to Les Mis. In my opinion, not only is the story mostly depressing, emotional, and political, and as well as intense, but it can also be very suggestive, thought-provoking, serious, mature, and raunchy. And now, here's where we come to the songs. And since there are so many in this movie to talk about, and there are barely any speaking dialogue, I want to talk about the ones that are the most memorable in my opinion. First, there's Look Down, which is sung during the opening prologue, not long before Jean Valjean is released from Toulon, and it's also sung later on by several Paris townsfolk. Then there's the true opening song, At the End of the Day, which is sung by several poor people and factory women. There's the dock song, Lovely Ladies, where Fantine sells her hair and her teeth and becomes a prostitute. And in my opinion, this song is really messed up, especially when Fantine gets abused by a customer. There's also Castle on a Cloud, sung by Little Cosette, which in my opinion is not only beautiful, but also very haunting at the same time. We also have the Thénardier's Inn song, Master of the House, which brings back memories of a song that was performed in my third choir show, A Pirate's Holiday, where the song was called Master of the Ship. Then we have One Day More, which is my favorite song in the entire show. Not only because it closes Act 1, but nowadays, it makes me think back to a time when I used a revolutionary flag when I played Dr. Dodo in Alice One Cat's Tale. We also have Bring Him Home, which to me is the most saddest and beautiful prayer song that I ever heard. And while I was under a giant cell tumor surgery in 2014 and in 2016, I hope that my theater friends would sing this while praying for my recovery. And finally, there's Do You Hear the People Sing, which is sung twice in the movie, but my favorite version would have to be the finale, due to it being not only powerful, but it does deserve a standing ovation at the movie's ending. There's a couple other songs that I enjoy, like In My Life and Red and Black. And now, let's move on to the cast. The main character, Jean Valjean, is played by Hugh Jackman, aka Wolverine from the X-Men films. And he also got to be in DreamWorks' Rise of the Guardians and The Greatest Showman. Jean Valjean is a Frenchman released from Toulon prison after 19 years of imprisonment for stealing bread and failed attempts at escaping from prison. To me, Jean Valjean is a really sympathetic character due to him going through a roller coaster of a lifespan. Throughout the movie, not only is he on the run from Javert, but Valjean goes from prisoner to factory owner and mayor to a philanthropist to the poor, as well as being an adoptive father. Plus, not only did Valjean adopt Cosette, but he has also done some good deeds, like paying for Cosette's debt, helping a worker who was trapped underneath a cart, getting Fantine to the hospital, as well as joining the revolution. Next we have Javert, a police inspector played by Russell Crowe, whom I've talked about in my blog of the terrible Noah movie. This character serves as an antagonist to Jean Valjean, due to him dedicating his life to imprisoning Valjean once again. To me, while I do have mixed feelings for Russell Crowe singing, Javert shows a lack of empathy for criminals, even if they are reformed. Plus, Javert is really sneaky when pretending to be a revolutionary in order to seek out the Abbessi's weakness. But thankfully, his cover was blown by little Gavroche. Also, I thought it was really stupid when Javert committed suicide by throwing himself into the Seine. Next we have Fantine, played by Anne Hathaway, best known from the Princess Diary films, the Rio films, the Alice films, Hoodwinked, Ella Enchanted, The Cat Returns, and Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. And this fall, she'll be acting in Robert Zemeckis' adaptation of Roald Dahl's The Witches. Fantine is Cosette's mother and a struggling factory worker who resorts to prostitution. You know, I really feel sorry for this beautiful woman. Not only did her husband abandon her, but she has to pay to support her daughter. But I felt really, really bad when Fatine lost her job and she had to sell her hair as well as her teeth, and when she lost her beauty and her health. Plus, Anne Hathaway's acting and singing as Fatine is really amazing, but she's also really heartwarming too. Also, I liked when Fatine entrusted Jean Valjean to look after Cosette, and when she accompanies him to heaven after he dies. Fatine's daughter, the beautiful Cosette, is played by Amanda Seyfried, best known from the Mamma Mia movies, along with Blue Sky's Epic, and she'll be voicing Daphne Blake in Scoob this May. Cosette is an, illegitimate child who is kept by the Thénardiers until Valjean buys her from them. You know, when I was introduced to the show during my junior high age, I didn't really realize that Cosette was that little girl who appears on the show's poster. Maybe it's because I never read the original Victor Hugo story, or maybe it's because of my autism, but anyway, I think Cosette, while not having as big a role as Jean Valjean, I think she has a very passionate nature, and I like that she enjoys singing and reading. Also, Amanda Seyfried's acting and singing is really beautiful, and I think Isabelle Allen did a wonderful job playing little Cosette. Plus, I think Jean Valjean did a wonderful job raising her from a poor, dirty orphan to a beautiful young lady. Another character to talk about is Marius Pontmercy, played by Eddie Redmayne, best known from the Fantastic Beasts film series. Marius is a student revolutionary and Cosette's love interest, who's also friends with the Thénardier's daughter, Éponine. You know, I think Marius is a sharp-looking guy, and Eddie Redmayne does a great job. Plus, I think he's brave when facing the numerous soldiers. Plus, I'm glad that Marius manages to survive thanks to Jean Valjean saving him. Also, I think Marius and Cosette make a beautiful couple together. Other actors in the film include Helena Bonham Carter, Sacha Baron Cohen, Samantha Banks, Aaron Tveit, and Daniel Huddleston. And now let's move on to my final words. Overall, the 2012 Les Miserables film is a terrific movie. It has a very emotional story, outstanding and powerful songs, as well as memorable and sympathetic characters. Plus, all the actors do a marvelous job with their assigned characters. However, there are some parts that can be very serious, mature, thought-provoking, political, and violent. So, I wouldn't recommend folks under the age of 13 to watch this. But, if you're into musical theater like me, then I guess you should definitely give this movie a watch. And I think it does deserve to be one of the best movie musicals of all time. So, with that said, I give Les Mis the highest rating of 100%. Well, that's all for now. Be sure to join me again in March, where I look at the third and final hand-drawn animated film in the Swan Princess franchise, Mustang Power.